Fly, fly, oh to be a fly. Fly, fly, come and be a fly on the wall.
Three, two, one.
Hello there. Our house is a mess. Come on in. Welcome to Fly on the Wallin. Yes, where two queens put their kingdoms together. More like one peasant and a queen. Right, Ben?
Sure.
You'll take
mean-
that.
Yeah, because I'm the queen.
Oh, I pointed to you. Okay.
I'm the queen, you're the peasant.
Well, no, not right. Not right at all. Anyway.
Well, sometimes the roles go back and forth.
No.
Sometimes I'm the queen, you're the peasant. Sometimes I'm the peasant, you're the queen.
When was the last time I was exhibiting some peasant behavior?
Yesterday morning,
What was I doing?
you were depressed.
So what you're saying is people who are depressed are peasants.
Yeah, they
You heard it here
need
first.
the regency to lead them, to guide them.
Gosh.
I'm
Anyway,
like a benevolent dictator, though. All right.
anyway, welcome to our kingdom, our little Westeros, where we share our stories of dating, parenting, and what happens when you record it all for the world to see. We are very, very honored to be joining y'all today from a different studio. I'm not even sure if we're allowed to share where we are right now, but it ain't our house. So for that, I am very grateful.
Of course we can. We got to give Spotify a shout out.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
we should give them a shout out.
we're
Yeah.
at Spotify because we're desperately trying to get them to, become our new network home, which I don't think it's going to happen yet. But they were like, "We'll let y'all asses use our recording stuff," and for that, I'm grateful. See, that's why I was saying that.
Well, here's the thing. Tell your friends about this podcast because the more people who download it, the more we could make, Spotify, support us
home.
more. But they're already supporting us.
They're literally
This is
supporting
great.
us so much.
This is great.
We're
Love
very
you,
happy to be
Spotify.
here. Love you, Spotify. But remember, you can listen to this podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, Apple, Spotify, all the girls. Before we kick it off, Ben, what should the people go watch?
You should go watch We're Pregnant and Other Lies, a film directed by my favorite director, Amber Wallin. She's a badass bitch. She's fine ass. And she's just all around wonderful person and comedian, influencer, wonderful mother, best mom I know. She's a MILF.
Okay. Thank you. Go watch We're Pregnant and Other Lies, our documentary. It is on our Patreon. So go check it out. We just always got to say that at the top of the show. Now, you want to jump right into the show this week? It was a heavy week.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the dark side of influencing or something. Well, that's assuming dark is bad. Sometimes dark is beautiful, like...
Oh my God. People can be like, you need to blink twice, sir. Like, this woman's got you saying all kinds of stuff. But y'all, Ben really is a sweetheart.
Yeah.
When it comes to me and thinking I'm fine.
All right, so this week, Amber did a baby dove ad for Mother's Day. It was just really cute ad talking about the trials of parenting. She did this with a bunch of other really wonderful mommy creators, and a lot of it just shows them, with their kid, bathing them and all that. And so she was, looking to see when she was going to be paid for this ad that she did. And for those who don't know, influencers use ad money to pay for important things like health insurance and groceries and, gas or whatever to keep the lights on, etc. So she goes to look at this and the video was taken down. Someone had reported this video as grooming and pedophilia. Mm-hmm. Like, what the heck? So Amber came to me. She's like, Dove just reached out. They said, why is this video taken down? And the video you made, Amber, actually was on Dove's page.
Yes.
Correct?
Correct.
Damn. So you came to me like, really upset, actually.
Yes.
Yeah. Where I thought it was almost, it was like absurdist comedy, but you were just like, this was really hurtful. So
yes.
What was going through your head to be accused of pedophilia and grooming of your child?
I had a very emotional weekend. And here's the major issues, right? We're gonna have a longer conversation about like sharing the internet, sharing your kids on the internet and social media. We're about to get there. We ain't there yet, but we're about to get there. What's really disappointing is that the TikTok interface really does not set the creator up for success a lot of times. So we're on lots of different apps, right? YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. I've been on Snapchat in the past. TikTok has this system where if somebody does not like your videos, they are allowed to just report every single one, to be honest with you. Like if you don't like a creator, whether you follow them or not, you can report for, so I have had a couple of violations for, she said bitch in a video, this is obscene, and she's done this, she's done that, but it really distracted me, and it was super discouraging that someone saw a video of my kid like in bath bubbles and said that I was grooming them. That was just kind of like,
only a pedophile would see that video that you made and think that had to do with grooming. Like literally you're like playing bubbles and you're like dumping water and you're talking about your struggles as being a mommy. Like that's just absurd. And so I think what we both discovered is that you've talked about this before with me, Amber, is that sometimes consumers will find a creator that they disagree with politically, and then they'll just go and report all their videos. Correct. Because they don't agree with them.
Which is fine, but TikTok allows the user to let them do that, and for the creator, that has very real consequences. So
TikTok is a program that is user moderated, which we're discovering is not only problematic as far as like free speech concerns, but it's sort of fucking with your bag, as the kids say today.
It is, and it's just kind of, I'm kind of in a place right now where Benno and I were having this existential crisis about like, okay, at what point do we just stop showing our child on the internet? Because if this is potentially going to be something that is going to get my content like banned, and I will admit that we could be a little bit more mindful, because to me, like, she's walking around in a pamper, like who cares? But somebody else sees that and says like, look at this mother grooming her child. I'm kind of like, what is wrong with y'all motherfuckers? What's wrong with y'all? So
I've the whole weekend I haven't really, I'm going to go meta a little bit. This whole weekend I've been at a point of like trying to affirm your anger and frustration, while at the same time like trying to downplay your reason for because what I mean by that is like your anger and outrage for this accusation is all very real, but part of me wants to be like, of course, like someone's gonna target you. You're a black successful woman who is a little bit more outgoing, who sort of we have sort of an egalitarian relationship, where we both have sort of inverted gender roles at points, where I do most of the cooking, you're the primary breadwinner, and that's going to bother a lot of people, And so, of course, in my mind, someone's going to accuse you of pedophilia. It's sort of like the Godwin's law.
I know, but and even when I called my sister crying, of course, I was like, not only has somebody accused me of this, it is actually starting to have real consequences on my life.
Yeah, I guess the money part.
Like that,
but.
like everybody loves to say like, it's just the internet. This is our segment where we talk about the internet and talk about being #influenced. It's just the internet. Why are people taking it so serious? It's like things that people say, like a la the conversation with Chica last week, or some comments even Azalea Banks made this week on DC Young Fly, like things that people say on the internet have very real consequences and could really cause harm to people's lives, from cyberbullying to like revenge porn. Like crimes on the internet are kind of unregulated at times, and
accusations
are unregulated, and it is a TikTok issue, because I only have a certain amount of followers. Like, what if you really have 25 million followers, and you show a video of you holding your kid and that kid doesn't have a shirt on, this is a baby, and somebody's just like, boo, like report this mom. Yeah, so it's really upsetting. And what I'm gonna do now, well, I mean, you know how I feel right now, Ben. I'm kind of at the point like, TikTok streets are not gonna see my child again. I can allude to her, because we had a show before she got here. Like, I love her, obviously, and I
Yeah.
love sharing my very authentic journey of motherhood with people, but we don't have to show
The
her.
funniest part about you, Amber, is not wild.
I hope not.
Yeah, it's
That's
really
pretty
not.
sad. I don't want
hope
to become
not.
one of those.
But I want to talk. I mean, the thing is, I think your anger is completely justified.
Thank you, because you try to talk me down sometimes.
yeah,
I'm like, Ben, no, like
I didn't talk you down. I was trying to like. I think you were upset that someone accused you of grooming and pedophilia. I'm like, oh, those people are psychos, or I shouldn't say psycho, but those people are I'm going to call them racist. I think that they themselves have pedophilic tendencies, or maybe they have undealt with trauma. Maybe they disagree with the fact that someone should have their kid on the internet without their consent, right? So there's all these issues that they might be projecting onto you. But I think the reason that I got really upset was the fact that, right now TikTok is our primary form of income. Right, it's what we use to continue to be funny. It's what we use
to create
for your next project. It's what you're using to buy the computer to write your next project on.
Yeah.
Right now,
even my auntie was like, "What you crying for? Like, don't." She was like, "If it ain't messing up your money, like, save your tears." I was like,
"It is messing up my money. It is messing up."
She was like, "Oh, I'm sorry."
Yeah, that's the real anger, and I think it's also just the fact of being a mom and being accused of pedophilia, like even from a homeless person on the street who's like or just someone, an unhoused person on the street who society is like, why would anybody listen to them? Anybody, like if that person accused you of pedophilia, it would still hurt. Like even a complete stranger, the lowest of the low of our society.
And even my sister, I was talking to my sister, and she was kind of like...
Sorry, I need to clarify. I don't mean that unhoused people are the lowest of the low of society. I'm just saying just strangers in general. Like,
I got you.
Yeah, sorry.
That's how it came out, though.
It did come out that way.
You said it like that.
Even if a Republican accused you of...
Good save. No, my sister was like, Amber, people... She was just having this moment with me. She's like, as you gain popularity... people are going to try to just say things to fuck with you. She was like, there was a time where, I know I'm not Beyonce, but I was talking to my friend the other day, and she was saying, like, if you go to some of Beyonce's earliest videos, all you see is, like, she's so fat. Like, why is she even doing this? Like, this singing isn't even that good, and look where she is now. Yeah. And then my sister was like, Amber, there were, like, full weeks where Blue Ivy's hair was trending on Twitter because people are, like...
making fun of it.
People feel like they have the rights to your family and your husband and your content just based on because you shared that with them. But it did.
I give some people the rights to me,
yes.
But
so
I think there's this like fine line, right?
And I think this is the first time where I feel like my like mothering and ethics as a person, as it pertains to Wild, has been like slapped right in my face. Whereas obviously I've heard like she's a bully wife. I've heard this isn't even funny. I've heard I hate interracial couples. I've heard all that, and I don't care about all that. I've heard like
we don't disagree with any of that.
Yeah, sure, of course. I hate them too. I hate her outfits. I hate like the way she talks. She's country as hell. I can deal with all of that.
You got that before that you're country.
Oh my gosh.
Really?
Ben.
I'm not in the comment section like that.
Of course, Ben. But for somebody to accuse me of just behaving that way with my child and like essentially like trafficking them on the internet
in a Dove commercial, a baby
about our mothering journey, where I was required to use baby shampoo products. So, but you know what, it actually encourages me honestly to get super creative with how I show my family moving forward. And I know a lot of people are like, no, we don't want the content to change. It's like, I mean, I do have to do some things to protect myself and my kiddo.
So you're saying that the onus is on you, on the victim, to change. I disagree. I think even if you were not to show Wild at all, I think eventually you would get accused of this again. I think just the fact, like, you could do everything right. You could have showed, maybe her, like, just the top of her in the bathroom.
Yeah.
I think we showed her, like, her, just her chest, her belly or something. And I think we could have done all of that right. And I think still someone would target you because your very existence is politicized.
I know,
right? And I was thinking about this today because we were watching Miss Rachel, and there is a queer person on Miss Rachel who plays guitar.
Right.
Not political at all, sings about like being a crab, But I know there are comments of like
Right.
Why would Miss Rachel have a queer person on the show? Exactly, like just certain people's existence is just politicized, and people
Yeah.
will target you because of that. So I know you do. Amber has talked about wanting to show Wild Less. But I think even with that, you're still going to get some pretty harmful, hurtful accusations moving forward.
Yeah, because they're gonna be like, we need to do a wellness check on the child.
We haven't seen her in a while. They're going to find some reason.
Well, but in a little bit, it feels sometimes it's like this is a larger existential question, I guess, for me and you. It's like, have we overshared? Like, are we getting to a point, especially as she gets older, where it's like, okay, I do need to think twice. Like, if she's running around in the background without a shirt on, like, I guess I just need to pay more attention to that stuff because it's so ingrained in my normal life.
But Pampers has commercials with babies.
I
running.
know,
So
I know. But
it's-
they also have a team of lawyers that can get them
Yeah.
out of shit, and we don't.
Well, okay. To be fair, Baby Dove. We reached out to Baby Dove.
Yeah.
We
They're
reached
handling
out-
it. My
yeah,
agent is furious. Like,
Yeah,
this
and
is,
you also got another strike. So for those who don't know or are not creators on TikTok,
Right.
there are strikes that you get. So many strikes, they'll
Yes.
ban you or they'll restrict your ability to post.
I will
et
say
cetera.
that the strikes last for 90 days.
Yeah,
so
the strikes last for 90 days.
I need to minimum make sure my child is not seen on TikTok for 90 days.
Sure, that's 3 months. So.
Which I can do.
So you
Challenge
might have
accepted.
to follow us on Instagram.
Yeah, I can allude
Instagram
to
is
it,
a little
yeah.
bit more. So all right. So to summarize, right? Baby Dove is great. You know,
Of course.
So,
Yeah, it's not them.
Second, TikTok, I think gives too much moderation to
the
the
user.
user.
Yes.
Too much user moderation power.
Yes. It sometimes happens a little bit on Instagram as well. Do you remember that it was last season of RuPaul's Drag Race? You know, I'm getting into my bag. Last season of RuPaul's Drag Race, there's a queen, Mistress Isabel Brooks. Icon, like plus size. She's just all about like big girl glam and the glow.
And we never
so
had a queen win who was plus sized, right?
Correct.
Right,
We've had
so
bigger
that-
queens, of course, Eureka, Darian Lake, but we have not had
One who won, and I remember
Correct.
that being a conversation.
Correct.
Yes, in the zeitgeist of RuPaul
Lore.
Versia.
Yeah, sure.
Versia.
So she got
RuPaulverse.
into a fight with another queen on the show, Marsha, like untucked, like, a standard run-of-the-mill fight. And so many fans of Marsha reported Mistress Isabel Brooks's page that she was banned. She had gotten kicked off of Instagram.
Fuck
And it's like, so what do we do? Like, how do we solve on the internet these problems with like review bombing and I don't like this creator's top report video. Like it at some point, and I go to TikTok meetings sometimes.
Join Parlor.
Right. I go to TikTok meetings sometimes.
For those who
and
don't, Parlor is an app that has like zero moderation. It's used a lot by the right wing. But anyway,
go the hell over there.
Yeah.
I go to TikTok's meetings sometimes because like, once you are so involved in the creator space, they start having like Zoom meetings to talk about like issues and whatever. So I go to TikTok meetings sometimes, and in the meeting, I suggested to the TikTok team, I was like, hey, is there a world where, let's say a user, a follower, does not like you? Can they only get 3 times to ban your content? 3 times to report your video? Like, they have to run out of false alarm strikes. You know what I'm saying? Or because at some point the app should say like, you seem to report this user a lot.
Yeah,
you should block
that's
them.
so funny.
Like,
So talking about library stuff, I got a bunch of books from the library.
when were we talking about library stuff? I'm so sorry.
Yeah, so on TikTok there was a whole library
yes,
drama
yes.
thing that Amber and I did. You can
Funny.
Yeah, go watch it. It's very funny. The LA Public Library took it very nicely. They saw it and they responded to it. I think they were okay with it.
I don't
we
think
we
they
didn't
were
make
fan.
them look the best because
Right. It was supposed to be me telling your ass to give them folks their stuff
yeah,
back.
but I think people were annoyed that a public library would report someone's like unreturned, products or unreturned books as a credit.
Yeah, which is 100% true, by the way.
Yeah,
I know.
we definitely.
I know it's like don't believe everything you hear on the internet, but we were reported to collections for not
returning
for library books. Yes.
Yeah, and I think it was like a month late, overdue. But I guess that it was assumed lost, and I didn't pay it in time. But I think, I was checking out books up until the point where we left for Paris. Anyway, so I think people were annoyed at them. And so I'm getting way off topic. So I got a book from the library, and it's like this whole take on the boy who cried wolf. So I think maybe there could be like a cry wolf kind of rule, where if you
Yes.
cry wolf so many times as a user, then you can no longer, like, no one will come when you cry wolf.
Or just, it's like, what happened to the era of just hate watching? Just hate watch.
Hate watch, don't report.
Hate watchers and don't report. I definitely follow a couple of profiles that I do not like. I don't really, I won't say I don't like. I don't believe or subscribe to what this person believes, but this is so entertaining and it's such a train wreck that I'm just going to watch and be like shaking my head.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like for me, that's like, I love him to death. Andrew Caldwell. It's like, he's always on there saying insane things. Or maybe like the Blueface Krishan drama, right? Like, I don't believe... I think it's a shit show. It's a train wreck. Will I continue watching this train wreck? Probably, because maybe some part of me is trash too. I'll own that. But what I'm not going to do is comment. What I'm not going to do is report, because at some point, it's like, for what? And so I hate this position on the internet that people take. They're like, but I'm just concerned. That's why I did it. But it's like, you're not concerned. You're caught up in like how spicy and this tea is right now. You're not concerned about Wild's health and well-being because she lives in, a fucking townhouse in LA.
I'm going to open a can of worms right now. The anger, before I mentioned Parler, and sort of the anger you're feeling right now is what a lot of right-wing users are. This is what they feel. This is how they feel.
Don't make me feel like
them. They feel that they express a political belief, right? Usually, it's like a transphobic, homophobic belief, and then they get reported or they get bombed, and they're like, "Well, I want to go to a website that has zero moderation, right?"
Yeah. So I'm not there yet.
So you're like, I still want some sort of moderation.
Well,
like
also,
I don't. Yeah. So that anger you're feeling, though, is like you were targeted, is a lot of what these right wingers feel. They want like complete freedom to say, and that's what, programs or I guess apps like Parler is sort of feeling, or Truth Social, which is Trump's program, where you can go on, say, do whatever you want.
Stop doing free press for them. What I'm trying to express is, I think, and obviously I do not have the same beliefs as like right wing conservatives, but I do share sometimes as a comedian is this fear of like, I made a joke and it was misunderstood. I made a joke, and like, it used to be people were like, I don't think that joke is funny. Let me move on. Now people are like, I don't think it's funny. I'm going to comment that I don't think it's funny. I'm going to report you because I don't think it's funny. It's like, oh my gosh, it was a joke about my child putting items in the microwave, or it was a joke about Ben not paying library fees, or it was a joke about...
microwave gives off these fumes that can cause brain cancer. So that's
so they'll be like, report. Yes.
Right there.
Whatever. That's kind of just like, I know everybody's like, we don't want to hear about it. You probably are doing perfectly fine. But that was just something that got me down this week, and I just needed to air a little bit of my frustration about being a creator on the internet.
That's part of the dark side of influencing.
It is.
There.
And it has so many pros, and I love being able to, like, I just had a moment where I was literally just so emotionally broken down this weekend, and I was just like, this really started because I was trying to make some motherfuckers laugh. Like, how did we get here? I really just, my only goal in life is wanting to make people like laugh and carry on and feel like my cousin. How this week in the world was I accused of being a pedophile?
Well, let's go to our next section.
Yeah.
We spent a lot of time with.
We did.
And the next section is imperfect parent. But today we're gonna boost you up a little bit. We're gonna call you perfect parent.
No,
so this is how Amber has been a perfect parent. So yesterday, Amber was feeling really down. We're walking.
I thought we said we was gonna skip to the next topic.
Yeah. So Amber's feeling really down about this whole situation.
Yeah.
At one point, I'm like reading in bed, I was like editing a video or something, doing some social media work, and she comes up. She's like, "Let's go on a walk right now." I was like, "Can you calm down?" She's like, "We're never gonna get out of the house if we don't leave." So she's really upset, and I think I was rude to her in response. So eventually, we get out of the house, we go on a walk, and Amber just at one point, we're like halfway through the walk, and she's like, "I just need to sit down." So she sits down, and across the distance, she sees a sign. She sees a
This
sign.
when I was broken to my core, I looked up and
says
saw a sign for,
she said,
for kimchi dumplings. And I said,
And so this,
what a mighty God.
What a mighty God there
know
is. So
there
we
is a God.
go. And the thing is about you being a perfect parent is that we really try to introduce Wild to as much different food as possible. You
That's
like
very
how
true.
I did? You liked how I spin that? So we go and we meet this really chill person, Sawyer. And she's making these like great dumplings. We get 5 of them. We eat them. Wild's like chomping them down as well.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is so good. So we turn around, we order like 5 more. We get 10 more and we eat them more. And then Amber's in a great mood and Wild's got like kimchi like all over her. And I just love the fact that we're introducing Wild to so many different foods. And we just really vibed with this person. And it turns out her and her husband like is in Georgia now for like work. So she's trying to like sell all this stuff. She had I think a yard sale and she was selling dumplings so that she could
go home,
go meet with her husband
yes.
and sort of go on a vacation with him. And we were just really vibing with her. And then she was like, I love you guys so much. So then she brought out like these pockets,
little pokey sticks. Whatever, yeah.
And so Wild tried those for the first time. And so she's getting like kimchi dumplings
and pure sugar
and just having an all around amazing time. So I think it was like a very wonderful experience for you to be down and then brought back to life by
the goodness of kimchi dumplings.
And then also having Wild experience that. So
yes,
good for you, Mama.
Thank you. Speaking of, so this is where, okay, if you want to help us out with another fun debate this week, here's the tea. Ben has been showing why. Okay, let me back up. I asked Ben this year what he wanted for Father's Day. And he replied, Ben always wants something I really can't deliver at this time. You know, most people want like a new skateboard, a guitar, a tie. Ben was like, I want the entire family to sign up for a family Spanish class. I said, Ben, well, Wild is one. I'm busy. If you would like, I would, because I think you came back from France so excited to learn a new language and learn a new culture.
Because all these kids speak 2 languages, right?
They do.
A lot of them, they speak like Arabic, French, and English.
But not 1-year-old kids, Ben.
They're learning it that age.
No, they're not, Ben.
They're
learning it around 6 or 7.
No.
And I promise you, I talked to kids in France. I talked to adults in France, and I was asking, like, when was English starting to be introduced to you? And they were like 6, 7, 8, and then from then on, they were actively practicing it. Mm-hmm. But I do not believe in my heart of hearts that a 1-year-old can speak English and Spanish. A 1-year-old.
They should be introduced to both at the same time.
So, well, so let me go to the next point. So this week, Ben has been playing essentially like the Spanish version of Miss Rachel, which I think her name is Miss Nina. Miss Nina. I want to plug this woman because I like everybody should listen to. It's MISS space and then NENNA.
Yeah.
Okay. So I am not before a new rumor mill hits the block about Amber being like anti-Latina. I am not
just anti-Spanish,
anti-Hispanic. I of course want Wild to learn more than one language.
Good.
I have a problem sometimes with parents who I'm pointing to Ben. I have a problem with parents who don't speak, who kind of want more. Who require more of their child than what they can currently do.
I'm not requiring anything from her. I'm just introducing her to the language of Spanish earlier on than I was.
Correct.
I can read Spanish. I watch a lot of things with Spanish subtitles.
You can read it, Ben.
I can read it pretty well.
Okay, maybe you can read the words, but can you comprehend? Do you have reading comprehension?
My comprehension is varies depending on the book that I'm reading, but I'm getting there. I'm practicing.
Here's the thing. I'm not opposed to, as Wild gets older, getting her a Spanish tutor. I'm not opposed to that.
Okay.
But I think it's hard to teach Wild Spanish and then we don't speak it. Like, how is she going to retain the language?
Kids are like sponges, Amber. The earlier you introduce a language to a child, the easier it is for them to pick up, right? This has been shown and proven by hard data, revolving language acquisition.
But you don't think that practicing the language helps also?
It does.
I'll give you an
It does.
example. I studied Japanese in college.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you except for like
what did studying
arigato
look like?
gozaimasu.
What did studying
went
look
to
like?
going to school. It
Yeah.
went to going to class. It went to. It looked like studying the pamphlets, the workbooks, and then also having a Japanese teacher all 3 years that spoke fluent Japanese. Actively practicing, actively doing that, and then the minute I was out of that space because I didn't have somebody to practice with, it just didn't stick with me.
Right, but does that mean that you shouldn't still have taken that class?
No, I just think I was also 21. I was I was 19, 20, 21 during that time. And
So maybe if you learned earlier, like when you were 1 and started taking Japanese earlier, it might have been easier for you to retain it.
Sound off, y'all.
You're not going to win this conversation.
Do you just think that our 1-year-old can actively learn Spanish and English and speak that fluently at age 1 when we cannot help her retain the Spanish? That is my question to the streets. Ben seems to think the solution to teaching wild Spanish is just going all Spanish with the videos, which
Not all Spanish.
I'm cool with some of the Spanish videos and then some of the English ones
Yeah.
or whatever. But I think we should pick an age to be like, okay, at this age, like she's 5 now, maybe we should sign her up for a French class or something like that.
No. For me, you're going to start them early. You go little by little by little, right? I say, hola,
But you're not
¿cómo
going little by little.
estás?
Okay. We'll do
Cara,
there.
Mano,
But Ben, you can't get
beso.
Okay, for example, Ben has been watching shows in Spanish subtitles at our house for like obviously since we've been dating, so which is about 8 years. Tell me something about this room right now in Spanish.
La computadora.
Give me a sentence, not a word.
Tu es fastidioso.
You are what?
Annoying.
You know.
Fastidioso means annoying. I pulled that off the top of my head.
You did not.
Yes,
You practiced that the whole
I did
ride
not.
here, did you? I say all that to say we need more Spanish friends in our life. Right?
They don't have to be from Spain.
No, of course not. But
you said Spanish friends. They have maybe Spanish
speaking friends. I apologize. We need more Spanish speaking friends in our life, so that way, if you're working on Spanish and then you want her to learn Spanish, she's got to be practicing with somebody.
So, by the way, I also got 3 books from the library that are in Spanish, and they are easier enough for I can understand what I'm reading.
That's great.
Like, yo quiero un perro. Like, I want a dog. Like, I know enough of this. I studied it. I've
You
read
studied it. When?
I studied Spanish. I studied Spanish in
high school. Don't you
high
dare
school
say
and college.
But your mama taught it to you.
It was the Rosetta Stone. The program, the Rosetta Stone, which is the program's sort of the format of it is a lot how like Duolingo teaches it and how Babbel teaches it, which are the big online language apps.
I'm not saying I don't want her to learn it.
Now.
I just think 1 is a little early.
No, it's not.
Okay.
I'm going to give you data to prove it. It's for those listeners who have kids or even, nieces, nephews. What's like the gender neutral term for a niece, nephew? There is
cousins,
one.
little baby cousins.
Little baby cousins.
Let us know what you think. Is 1-year-old too early to make our child bilingual, even though we at our big 30 ages are not bilingual?
We're going to get there. That's why we're going to move to a Spanish-speaking country for about 2 years, and we're both going to leave fluent.
I would not hate moving to a Spanish-speaking country for a year. I'll give you that much.
Let's move into the next part. Do's and don'ts
of marriage.
This is the part of the show where we read letters from you listeners or DMs from you listeners about your relationship woes, or relationship grows, or whatever you want to write about regarding your relationships.
Yes, I want to preface by saying, even though Ben and I are married and somewhat happily married,
we're very happily married. I love being married to you. It's a good ass
Give
time.
me your hand. Play footsie with me on the table. Anyway,
stop. That makes me have to pee.
Okay. I want to encourage you out there to write in, even if you're just if you're single, if you're just starting to date, if you've been married for many years. We want to hear from all kinds of people, and we got 2 great letters this week. So let's hop right into the streets. I'm probably never going to say y'all's name. I just want to let y'all know out there. So this letter is from who I like to call the artist. Okay. Dear Amber and Ben, I would like some advice on balancing work and life with your partner. I'm in a 2-year relationship with the love of my life. We met in the pandemic, and she's everything I could want in a partner. I knew I wanted to spend the rest of my life with her very early on, and we're deaf finna get married and have some fine babies. We both work full time and remote, but more recently, my artwork has been taking off. All I've wanted to do is for as long as I can remember is be a full-time artist. And for the first time in my life, I can see that path forward. My girlfriend is understandably less than pleased that I'm home so late that I spend a lot of time at the studio, but she's incredibly understanding. My question is, you and Ben obviously have made a lot of sacrifices and have supported each other immensely to get your creative career popping. What are some ways you would suggest to show your appreciation for your partner, even though you know it's a bit of a grind for them? What worked for y'all? Please help. So I'm the artist in this scenario, and so I guess like a big question for you, especially early on, was what are some of those ways, when I was just up late editing or trying to record you and you didn't want to be recorded, that what would have helped?
So first of all, congratulations to this person who
Yes.
gets to do what they love,
Yes.
and that their artwork is taken off. This is a tricky situation, right? Because it sounds like both of you are working full time, and so in Amber and I's situation, when Amber sort of like TikTok, Instagram, comedy career started to take off, she and I was working full time. She sort of invited me into sort of making some of that. And so I know this person, I know you mentioned in the letter, I don't think you read this part, but I know she was like this person was sending videos to their girlfriend of like their artwork and stuff. But I think inviting them into the art making process was sort of a huge way of me not feeling isolated from your like comedy successes. And once you invited me in to like, help you edit, then I felt more invested in letting you like go off and do the things that you needed to do as far as like hosting and like spending lots of times editing. I guess like having that shared goal, right? I think the fact that me and you both have a shared goal within your comedy career is super helpful. The other thing though is that I also have a goal of like writing stories and going into academia. And so what I do now is I tell Amber, like, I'm going to go write, like, please don't interrupt me. And sometimes you get annoyed by that, but I just have to like,
You're like, bitch, I've been doing this for you
I've
for
been
years.
doing this. Like, if I don't write for 30, 40 minutes, or I need to go read, like, I need to read a lot. Like, for me to write, I need to read a lot, especially as far as the things that I'm researching now. I'm writing about things that I know a little bit about, but I want to know more about. And so I've been doing a lot of research. A lot of it has to do with like mediums and seances and different kinds of possession that
my
occurs.
cousins fully think you're a witch.
Yeah,
'cause every time they come to our house, they're like,
so I have
"What
like
are
these
seance
witchcraft books
Yeah.
that I've been reading about. I've been reading a lot of like going back to the Bible and reading what the Bible says about witchcraft and combining all of that to write this novel that I've been working on. I meant for it to be a novella, which is 40,000 words, but I'm like 30,000 words in, and I probably got about another 30,000 more to go to finish the book. So I've had to been like very forceful and be like, dude, like this is not permanent. I'm going to write this book. I'll take a break. And then also I send you some of the chapters I've been working on, and
Yes,
you'll give me
that helps.
You'll give me feedback. So
It does help. Well, I think I really didn't know what I was going to say to this listener who I love. You know who you are, Chicago all day. I really didn't know what I was going to say because I relate so hard to the artist. And sometimes, when a passion project consumes you, it's super hard to have to then like tell a person like, I just need like 3 more hours on this thing. So you being invited into that creative process is really beautiful, and
Yeah.
I'm super grateful that I don't bug you with that. and I think sometimes, like I've said in the past, like you've almost gotten better at editing things down than I have. Like you'll hear me edit something, you're like, damn, that's too long.
That's also a luxury because this person's situation is that they both have separate careers and they both
Right.
work remotely. So their partner can't go to the studio and work,
Right.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know.
And I think y'all should
Or maybe.
keep it. I think there's a way to keep it separate, but also share parts of it with each other. I might give Ben an idea about his writing, but ultimately, like it's the onus is on you to put the words on the page. And I think that it is important though as an artist sometimes to honor some of your commitments or the time that you take. Like have your day, have your hours to devote to your art, but you gotta get wifey on the calendar, like future wifey in this case, on the calendar with certain activities that y'all are gonna be doing together.
It's just so hard when you're an artist or a comedian. Like my suggestion for anybody who's single, like just don't date an artist, don't marry a comedian. Like it's just hard because they have to work, or even a writer. Don't marry a writer because everything becomes content for a writer, for an artist, for a comedian, right?
Yes, so they're inspiration.
They're working 24/7. Even when I was dreaming last night, I was dreaming about serial killers, which I've been thinking about, killing serial killers.
Run it back.
But I'm just
before
saying,
this
like,
video
writer-
gets reported. I've been thinking about killing.
Yeah, but
soundbite.
I was reading about a serial killer in a great, book that we'll talk about in Shelfie, the next section of our podcast. But I'm saying for these kinds of people, for creatives, are just constantly thinking about this stuff. It's really we're very difficult to be with.
Yes, it is. You're the
I'm the
artist.
creative. We're both.
Got it.
We're both hard to be with because we both want something that is so personally for us.
Yeah.
And so you have to be aware of inviting them in,
Yes, but we also do a job of getting some things on the calendar that we're we're not going to record this.
Yeah.
We will not record this. This is a day that we went to the museum this past weekend, which I'm going to talk about later as well. I didn't record it, but I'll talk about it a little bit. But it's like, today is a day for you and me. You're not content. You're not, editing. Like, we're just going to be our regular, like, unproductive selves a little bit. And I'm going to binge a documentary about some crazy stuff for a minute. So I think it's hard because sometimes an artist doesn't have set hours of, like, when they feel inspired to create.
They do have set hours, 24/7. Like, that's it.
I know, but I would just say to the artist in this scenario, give your partner, like, a range of time. Like, hey, I'm gonna be at the studio. I'm gonna be home late, but I'm not walking in that door after midnight or some sort of barrier, because it has
tricky,
to.
especially when you're an artist, because your work is commissioned, so you might get a bunch of commissions. And you might, because, work comes and goes when you're an artist. Work comes and goes as you're a creator, right? You might get a bunch of ads, but then you might have a month of doing 0 ads.
Right.
So, we had a month of doing 0 ads, and then you got like 6 of them, and you couldn't say no to any of them because we needed those funds.
Yeah, because you don't know about next month.
Yeah, you don't know about the next month. So you have to almost say yes to everything. And sometimes Amber has said no to things that I felt like she shouldn't have, but she just didn't have the energy at that point. So
I was like, we're literally not going to be in the country to make this happen.
Yeah. So but I was like, we gotta move. And so I think that's really tricky for an artist in this situation. But maybe that could be a good thing where, like, once work slows down for you as the artist, sort of intentionally spend that time when the work is slow with your partner.
Yes.
Like, make up the time that was lost because your work picked up. Because artists and creatives, the work sort of goes, it goes up and down.
I love that. So some big do's, if we're talking about the do's and don'ts of the segment, was like communicating with your partner some clear boundaries and, like, some clear start and stop times. Sharing some of that, not the workload with your partner, but, like, asking them their thoughts about how they feel about it. And also, especially if you're an artist doing, like, the physical painting of the art, I personally would like some sort of, like, some sort of idea of what this becomes later. Like, is this going to become an exhibit? Like, how... And I know you hate questions like that, but I like that. You're like, this is a chapter in a larger story. Because I know in video editing and content, it could be like, okay, you're making this funny video. You told me you need this time, but like, what is this contributing to a larger story or is this just a one off? Because if it's just a one off, you can come watch Succession with me, Amber.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes like you've definitely been like, put your phone down. Like this video isn't that. You'll be like, Ben, don't, if we're talking about don't do this. It's not that funny. Put your phone down. I'm like, now wait a minute. First off, it's funny because I made it. How about that? Wasp whore. But yeah, I say
and then make up the time.
Make up that
yeah,
time.
so
with
if you're
your boo.
working, it sounds like you're working late now, but once work slows down, make up the time.
Be
and let your
intentional.
partner know that you're going to make up the time.
Yep. Literally put those dates on the calendar, like with planned dates, because it's really hard to be mad at your partner when they're like, but I have this festival coming up that I bought us tickets to. Like, it's like, oh, you do care.
Yeah.
Yep. Ask yourself when the last time you planned a date. Plan a date and keep creating. Don't you dare stop creating. Letter number 2. We ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Hey, Amber and Ben. We've been married for 8 years. Together for 11. We're originally from Chicago, but moved abroad together for the past 5 years. Trust is high. We know each other well. We're best friends. I cannot imagine not being in each other's lives. Post-pandemic, and we are in our mid-30s, me, and 40 this year, him. Before we both were together, we dated other people. I lived in a solo polygamous lifestyle. So I guess like polyamorous lifestyle. I did not have the language for that at that time. I enjoyed having different experiences, but also being allowed, air quote, to act on feelings and energies. So that was the past. Fast forward back to the person she's with now. We've been monogamous the entire relationship, but our libidos have changed. I find myself wanting to perhaps have an experience with a woman and other types of experiences with me, more leading toward a kink that are my fantasies alone, as opposed to their partners. We have a physical relationship, but the frequency and the exploration is only wanted from my side. Bringing up the discussion to start, it was okay. He was open and receptive to talk about it, but I felt resistance based on insecurity that our bond and marriage would suffer. He needed to know I see him in my future. So she's feeling it. He's like, I don't know about this. Basically, all things considered, I don't know if I believe in monogamy forever, and perhaps I never have. But I wanted to be with this person whom I love, along with all the society ideas around monogamy and patriarchy and ownership and sexuality. Thoughts on moving forward towards polyamory in this relationship? So this person was I clear about that? I'm sorry. I know I was jumping around.
Yeah, you did well. So
Okay.
yeah, this person wants to know, how do you start a polyamorous relationship with someone who doesn't really want one? So I think, you did the first part, which was talk about it.
Right.
Right. And a lot of these things that you decide to do, if it's against a societal norm, you got to talk about it maybe like 30, 40 times. As my, we're trying to teach Wild. I know I'm going to make this.
Wait, yeah. Wait. Where you going
We're trying
with
to teach Wild to eat different kinds of food. And sometimes I've learned that it takes like 40 introductions to a certain kind of food for anybody to like it. So like Wild might not like a spinach or a certain kind of vegetable. It might take 40 times. So in this situation, I would recommend keep up bringing up that conversation. If your libido is like, absolutely not, I need to start having sex with other people right this second, and your partner's not cool with that, then now you have an ethical dilemma. You can either go and do it without your partner's consent and deal with the consequences of that, or you can just keep on talking with your partner and sort of go ahead. There's so many resources on polyamory right now.
Right.
Get them books about it, talk about it. Read Dean Spade's For Lovers and Fighters. It's a great article about polyamory. But I think it's, sorry, something caught in my throat. But yeah, I mean, I think you did the first part, talk about it, but these things you can't just have one conversation about.
Yeah.
Right.
I just want to start by saying I'm sure a lot of people are like, but y'all are married. How could y'all? I was like, your marriage is yours.
Yeah.
You and that person or those people. Your relationship is yours. So I think I would ask my person about specifically what makes them uncomfortable about this.
Yeah.
Is what makes you uncomfortable about this seeing me with somebody else, or is what makes you uncomfortable is like, well, what will we tell our families? Well, what will we tell our
Yeah.
kids? Because I think those are two different conversations. for
Also,
sure.
polyamory is a wide range,
Right.
right? So we were talking to someone. We were at a bar in Chicago. We were talking with a writer friend of ours, and we were just who's in a they are part of like a polyamorous relationship with a married
like a
couple.
Polycule.
Yeah,
something like that,
polycule. And there's like they were explaining there's ethical non-monogamy, and then there's polyamory, and then there's like open relationships. And so there's so many different
Yeah,
things, right?
very
So
different.
like an open relationship means that you might be able to have sex with other people, right? And then it looks different. So like what does that sex, then you talk about the specifics of that sex, right? And then like what kind of sex is appropriate. Like some people are, okay with different kinds of sex. And then there's polyamory where people are like, I'm married, but I would also like to have, a partner who I see regularly. Right. And so that you might have a boyfriend or girlfriend outside of that. And then there's someone who is like, I'm not okay with any of that, but we can watch porn together, right? And that could be like seen as
Yeah.
almost like
It's levels to the shit.
there's like levels to this, and someone's like, no, you shouldn't ever masturbate or think about anybody else besides me. And then that's a very like closed monogamous. So there's like levels of monogamy, and then
Yeah.
there's levels of polyamory.
Yeah.
And so you can talk about like, okay, maybe you're not okay with this or that, but maybe you're okay with this. So
Yeah, because this
and these
person
conversations just don't happen once. Yeah, go.
I'm sorry. Because in this letter you said he was resistant because he's questioning like how that would affect your bond and how the marriage would suffer. And I think you should sort of almost ask him like, what do you mean by that? Because I'm talking specifically like we're human beings, we're sexual. I'm talking specifically about like maybe having this experience with this woman, but you are my person, you are my
Yeah.
partner.
You've been together 8 years. Y'all even
We've
live,
been together
you live
11.
11 and
total.
you moved abroad together.
Yes, like so I maybe almost like reassuring him that like our bond is going nowhere.
Yeah.
Like I want to be and you said at the top of the letter as well, like trust is high, we know each other well, we are best friends. I cannot imagine not being in each other's lives. I just want to make sure that you've shared that with him.
It's such a thing though, like Amber not to go back to Amber's interest, but recently like Amber watched what was it? Like the Lies of Hillsong or something. What was it?
Right.
So Amber watched, so it's on Hulu,
Yes.
and it's about Hillsong, which they're very well known for writing this very emotional Christian worship music.
Yeah.
And
They're like a mega church.
The
Yeah.
mega church. They had a pastor who fell from grace because he cheated on his wife. Did he have sex with the person?
Not that they shared in the documentary.
Yeah,
they were saying like he just called her.
He
and was
like
talking about it or something.
and I remember reading about that. Anyway, so that destroyed their relationship. Just the fact that he was talking with someone. And so I think like there's this whole idea of just even in our society of like monogamy and like being close to the point that a pastor who was just talking with someone out of his marriage was seen as unethical and cost him his job and cost him his career and destroyed everything, right?
And
because I think
depends on
America is
definitions.
very we're still suffering from like the Christian restrictive idea of like sexuality as being owned purely within a monogamous relationship. We're
Right.
still caught up on that.
Yeah.
And so
Well,
when you even present ideas like this to people, it makes them very uneasy because they assume that having sex with other people will destroy a relationship. But
or they go like 0 to 100. They're like, well, what happens if you get another bitch
Yeah.
pregnant? And then if she gets pregnant and then STDs, and you're like, actually, we can talk about ways that like penetration never happens and we're
Yeah.
still both comfortable. Or actually,
there's testing or like these other things. But I think it's so taboo.
it is. And I just think, I mean, you wrote this letter because like we're the right people to ask about stuff like this because we do have very like fluid ideas of a lot of different things that we do, from gender roles to like how to parent and how to marriage. And I just think that you decided to like connect with this person and have a bond with this person, so y'all need to write the rules for yourselves, and you don't
Yeah.
have to be like, well, what am I gonna tell Big Mama if I'm just letting you fuck other bitches? It's like you don't have to tell Big Mama.
Yeah.
Like you don't
Big
actually
Mama
have
doesn't
to.
have to know.
Big Mama. That needs to be like the tagline coming up. Like literally, can we just name the episode "Big Mama Doesn't Have to Know"?
Big Mama doesn't have to know.
Big Mama doesn't have to know. Like, I didn't grow up hearing like intimate details of my grandparents' marriage or even my parents' marriage. Like, it's
Yeah.
like whatever. And it might make people cringe and be like, oh, well, what would the kids think? And did you see this week? Yes, should have put this in the internet segment, and I'm probably gonna say something wrong about this, but I apologize. Did you see this week? So Piers Morgan interviewed this creator who was OnlyFans. She does like porn on the internet,
Yeah.
and she
Became a Christian.
no.
Oh no, she didn't. Okay.
No, he was just interviewing her on his show, and he was like, she's a woman. She's a woman. She's not in a relationship, to my knowledge. She doesn't
Piers
have
Morgan,
kids.
like the
Yes.
British right winger,
Right.
who like went after the who is it?
Meghan Markle. Yes,
Meghan
yes.
Markle. Okay,
So
Piers Morgan. Okay.
Piers Morgan interviews this OnlyFans model concerned about her career because I think she used to be like a lawyer or something, and then she became.
Oh, okay. So she switched it up.
Yes, let me get it right. Yeah, Elle Brooks. Oh, yes. So he was basically just kept going. He was like, I'm curious about you being someone who embarked on a law career, who's obviously very bright, went to university
Yeah.
and packed it in just for money to be effectively an online stripper. I mean, that's what you do, right? Like he's just,
Yeah,
I'm like,
so-
you could have been a lawyer. You could have been a whatever. Well, what happens if you have kids? And she responded to the kids' question, they can cry in a Ferrari. And obviously, like, that's been the soundbite.
They can cry in her Ferrari. Yeah.
It's like, what if you had a son?
Yeah.
What if you had a son and then your son goes to school and his friends are bullying him because you're a sex worker? They can cry in a Ferrari, is what she says.
That's a great response.
And the internet fucking broke that week.
Yeah.
It was like, damn, that bitch
They
told
can
you.
cry in her Ferrari.
So it's kind of sometimes this conversation about like, do you actually think what I'm doing is wrong? Because like you're barking at me when you know the majority of my consumers are men like you. You probably actually follow the OnlyFans.
Yeah.
So you actually
That's how you heard of me. That's why I'm on the show.
That's why. How did I get on your show today? Because you follow. You're actually the one putting money in my pocket. But there's some big like, well, you're a woman, so you're gonna one day be a mother. And when you become a mother, what about your imaginary son that you have that's gonna then one day go to school and get bullied about your career? And
Yeah.
it's like, what are all of these like
Also-
stanchions you've created?
Also, lawyers do unethical things.
Oh, are you
right?
kidding?
So I know it's just
Are you kidding?
it's weird how we associate certain jobs as being more ethical than others. Where like OnlyFans, well, first of all, they're only for fans, so the fans pay them directly.
Nothing
And
gets
so they don't have
fashioned,
to advertise companies that may be unethical. So I think there are certain OnlyFans who are more ethical than influencer who are pushing unethical brands.
Right.
But we don't have to talk about that.
And I'm not trying to glamorize like, well, that's easy for her. Like other sex workers have it really hard, with the Ferrari
Yeah.
comment. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying sometimes it's like, are you actually uncomfortable with what I do, or are you creating all of these like what if
Yeah.
scenarios about?
So
like,
in this person's situation, you think the person is like, what if this, what if that? Like
Yeah,
they
like,
go to
what
the
if- yeah.
extreme of like,
Yes.
what if you have a relationship with someone or have sex with someone who's not me, and you fall in love with them and you want to be with them instead of me, right? And you're like,
yes.
well, what if I don't do that and I just don't want to be with you?
Yeah, like
right?
what if
You
I just
know?
have sex with somebody one night and it's amazing and you're there when it happens, and then
or you're not there?
or you're there or you're not there, and then that's all it is.
Yeah.
And if we're locked in for life, like, does that sound that bad? Or I don't know. It's just like, me, the person I am. We've been together, in this person's case, like 11 years. Like, have I given you a reason to make you think that I would do that?
I think I think this person needs to understand that in our society, we put sex as like the top of like a relationship standard. Like once, there are so many people, so many Christians I went to school with who could only have sex with the people that they married. In fact, a lot of them got married very young so
To
that
do
they
that.
could have sex, right?
That
Because
same old missionary style,
Yeah,
night
that's-
after night.
Exactly. So I
That
think
same old
when
vanilla
you
sex.
when you sort of try to look into becoming polyamorous, you're fighting against an entire American societal expectation that sex is like the end all be all of a relationship.
Right. Or we've done
that,
things publicly that people are like, what? You got your man in the strip club? It's like,
Yeah.
but Ben is my person. Like, we're locked in for life.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really, our trust is high. Some bitches shaking ass in his face is
Yeah.
kind of a moot point. Like,
Yeah.
I own a home with this man. I put up with this man's Echo shorts by the pool in 2023. I have a baby with this man.
I got rid of
don't
those
care about no
shorts.
bitches shaking ass.
That was 2020, not 2023. The Echo shorts. All right.
Hashtag never forget.
We gotta move on to Shelfie. What we're reading. Let's just.
Well, yeah, I'll just say that person. Your marriage is yours. Maybe just have a conversation with him one more time to say like
One more time. You might have to have it 20 more
20 more times, and just reassure your partner, over reassure them that like this is literally just about sex. I'm not gonna fall in love with somebody else.
Yeah.
Or
Get some books on polyamory. I
Yeah.
would recommend doing that. Like
That's
because there are people, the psychologists who look into this, theorists who talk about this, queer communities who've written a lot about this. About sexual liberation, like start there, and this conversation is going to probably be ongoing with your partner. You don't just have it once and they're like, okay, we're done. Like anything.
That's true. Good luck, and good luck to you, ma'am, with your dip in the lady pond. That's what Jason used to call it. Jason used to call. We used to live together. He was like, yeah, looks like somebody had a dip in the lady pond this weekend. I was like, mm-hmm. Anyway. Moving on to Shelfie. This is our last segment where we talk about what we're reading, what we're watching. You start.
Yeah, so I am reading Don't Fear the Reaper, which is a sequel to My Heart is a Chainsaw by Stephen Graham Jones. The most badass title I've ever heard. He like came up with the title just like out bike riding someday. I don't have a bike, so I can't really get badass titles, unfortunately. So here's the thing about this book. This book is so terrifying. I started it last night. I think I bought it. We were in Georgia at your local bookstore.
I remember.
It was
That's
recommended
when I bought
to
In
me.
Love.
Yep. And I started it on the plane, put it down because the main character from the first book is vastly different.
Okay.
I was a little disappointed because the first book has this like really cool, like, black lipstick, like against the grain, loves horror films, and sort of like a nerd. And in the second book, she is deeply traumatized by an experience that happens in the first book. She's a very different character, Jennifer. She goes by Jade in the first book, Jennifer in the second book. So I was like, oh, dang. And the author, the bookseller sort of told me, like, she's like, listen, the Jade in the sequel is very different from the Jade in the first book. I was like, all right, whatever. So I put it down. I picked it up again last night. I think I was like on page 20. I read like 100 pages last night. Couldn't put it down. Around like 10 o'clock, I got to a really scary scene, and you were sleeping downstairs.
Oh my gosh.
So that is why I went downstairs and woke you up.
Because let me tell you, Ben will let my ass fall asleep on the couch, and I will wake up at like 3 a.m. on
with
that couch.
Crank neck. You're like, oh, why?
Why the fuck?
So I actually woke you up because I thought someone was going to come and like stick an arrow through my throat or something and like get me with it. I was terrified. I couldn't sleep. I need this wonderful, comfy person next to me, and I couldn't put the book down. So that's the book I've been reading right now.
So it's called Don't Fear the Reaper.
Yeah, it's a sequel
by Stephen Graham Jones.
Yeah, it's I think he's going to be writing a trilogy. I think it's called like the Indian Lake trilogy. He's I think a Blackfoot writer. He's an indigenous author. He wrote The Only Good Indians, which is a great book.
Yep,
love that book. Yep. And then I read a couple of his other books, a novella. Something about like Night of the Mannequins was good. That was a Halloween read.
Yeah,
so definitely recommend him. Stephen Graham Jones. What are you doing?
So I'm still reading In Love. I said that last week, which is the story about the woman whose husband has decided to kill himself because he has a terminal illness. Like, but at Dignitas in Switzerland, so they do it very like with bearing in mind your humanity. Mm-hmm. Do you think I described that right?
Dignity.
With dignity. Dying with dignity. Dignitas. Oh my gosh.
Dignity,
why am I overthinking? But anyway, I have picked up a new book. I'm showing it in the cameras here. This book is called We See Each Other. What's funny is I know the author. The author, their name is Tre'vell Anderson. We've hung out several times here in LA, and Tre'vell is a trans activist, and this is their first book, to my knowledge. And so We See Each Other is a Black trans journey through TV and film. So, like I said, I haven't started yet. I did read the forward. The forward is by Angelica Ross from Pose, and just from, I want to say Angelica Ross is in this season of American Horror Story. But yeah, it's essentially a groundbreaking look at the history of transgender representation in TV and film by an of the moment and in-demand culture reporter. So Tre'vell, in this book, talks about, this is a great read for Pride, great read for anytime. But in the book, Tre'vell covers films and television shows like Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, Psycho, Holiday Heart, Boys Don't Cry, America's Next Top Model, Survivor, Tangerine Pose, and RuPaul's Drag Race. So really good stuff here. And I don't know, can I read a little bit of the?
Yeah, go for it.
This is just even the forward. It already captivated me in such a way. I'm just going to read the first page of this forward. It says, from Angelica Ross. Yes. No. Look at me. Yes. No. Okay, I swear I have this. There was one line in here that I saw. Oh, you know what? This is not from the forward. This is from the introduction. So sorry. This Tre'vell Anderson. Great. It's in the introduction. It says, "I don't remember exactly when I was taught to hate myself. Maybe it was overhearing family members talk disparagingly about women who look like men and guys who just want to be a woman, their gender ignorance and latent homophobia and transphobia becoming mine. Maybe it was in middle school for crisscross day when some of the other boys and I wore dresses and wigs instead of wearing our clothes backwards like everyone else. We thought we were so clever, and we were. I also wore a 2-inch heel that I borrowed from my mom's closet, a fact she'll first learn about while reading this book. My classmates were shocked, and I entertained and seemed to have whatever confirmation they were waiting for that day that I was gay, though I never responded to their prodding." So it's just like a really great reflection, self-analysis, and then TV and film. But I was just captivated when I read, like, I don't remember exactly when I was taught to hate myself.
These are my favorite kind of academic books. I read about 10 pages of it, and it's this perfect like personal memoir mixed with like analysis.
Yeah, with
like
the receipts.
Film.
Yes, and the film analysis.
And so I this is like the ultimate academia book. You definitely read it. Check it out. I'm going to read it with you. It'll be probably one of the books that we read together. So
yes, and it makes you just more mindful about your, going back to the top of the show, like your language, be it on the internet or in person or whatever, like something that you're saying or doing potentially, especially if you're like raising a child or somebody else, is like you could be like, planting the seed of hate of the first time a person is taught to hate themselves.
Or you can be planting the seed of love,
exactly.
Right? And you get to decide what you want to do with that.
So yeah, I would love to sign off by saying, like, with your speech and your words and your actions, like, plant seeds of love, because you should. That's what we should do. We should be good people. And if you don't like somebody on the internet, just block them.
And we should read books. Everybody should put their phones down. Read more books.
Read a book. If I could just one more time recommend you read something, I could just tell by the first page, I was like, oh, this is going to really get me. So I'm finishing In Love this week, and I'm picking up and I'm starting We See Each Other by Tre'vell Anderson. I hope you do as well. And with that being said, I had some more stuff here because I was looking at the book and it was talking about Tu Wong Fu, and I was like, why have I still not seen Tu Wong Fu? Y'all don't whoop me. But it is on Max, I want to say. It's not HBO Max, it's Max now. I got to watch Tu Wong Fu this week because I know, like, I'm way, way behind the curve. Anyway, this has been another episode of Fly on Fly. Oh, to be a fly. I'm playing this whole motherfucking song on these outro credits.
Absolutely.
We've been fighting about this.
No, you can do it.
You're going to let me do it.
I'm not going to.
It's
no
not
pushback.
too long.
No, not too long.
No pushback. All right, we're going to play out the credits, and we will see y'all next week for the show. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
You know they're from TikTok, cause those laughs keep you coming, cause they're wildin' all the time. Before Wild throws a tantrum, listen to our silly anthem, cause they're wildin' all the time. Don't squat while Amber squats, and does her dance